Hybrid, it will use the same gasoline engine and same DCT, but of course it'll have a bigger electric motor as well as a bigger battery pack. And when we move forward with the IONIQ Electric, you'll see that it has a much more powerful 88 kilowatt electric motor, as well as a much bigger battery pack. It's 28 kilowatt hours. Also standard on the electric is DC fast charging. So with this one, you can see here, we actually have the industry's, behind Tesla, we have the highest charging capacity. And what that does is when we look at DC fast charging times, at 50 kilowatts an hour, we can charge about 100 miles in 30 minutes. When we can get to 100 kilowatts, that reduces the charging time to just 23 minutes. We also decided to use the CSS-SAE combo rather than CHAdeMO. And the reasoning for that is we've seen a lot of domestic and European automakers really go for with this technology. It's also a better packaging in our opinion. It uses a single port rather than two separate ports. So we think it's a more elegant solution for charging. And quickly here's a summary of the different powertrains. There's a lot more information available on your USB drive, so make sure you get one of those, but we really want to kind of cut this down and give you guys an opportunity to get into the cars as quickly as possible. And finally, when we look at efficiency numbers, you'll see that our cars across all powertrains compare very favorably with our competitors. So switching gears a little bit, obviously the impossible part I talked about was kind of driving dynamics. And with Brendan's first slide, he talked about kind of the hybrid market and alternative fuel market. As it is today, it's trending right about 3%. So our goal, when Brendan talked about, we wanted to create a no-compromise car, a good compact car, because we don't want to just fight for a bigger slice of that pie. We really want to help grow that market and grow the size of that pie. And to do that, we start with the chassis. By using an aluminum hood and liftgate, we're able to save about 28 pounds from the total vehicle weight. The body is also very rigid. We use 4% of the body in white is composed of high-strength steel. And we also use over 475 foot of aerospace-grade structural adhesives to really reinforce joints in critical openings. And at Hyundai, we always talk about being better. So if you look at the chart on the right here, the IONIQ actually has better torsional stiffness than even our Elantra and Sonata models. Just an example of how we're always constantly trying to improve our models at every life cycle. When we combine, we talked about considering IONIQ as a really good compact vehicle. And as you can see here, the IONIQ has even a lower center of gravity than even the Volkswagen GTI, and greater downforce than both the Corolla and the Civic. As far as suspension goes, we use an independent rear link, multi-link suspension for the hybrid and plug-in hybrid models to help with body agility and reduce body roll during cornering and acceleration. And what that ultimately culminates into is one of my favorite features on the car, it's the sport mode. It's very easy to engage. You move the shifter over to the left just like you would with any vehicle with Shiftronic. And a couple of things happen when you engage in sport mode. The big thing is the gasoline engine is now always on, and the electric motor will serve as a power assist. The gear ratio is also switched, so the car will hold lower gears for longer periods of time, and the steering effort is increased as well. And then kind of a neat feature is the digital gauge cluster is also going to change. It's going to go from kind of a speedometer to a different color, a tachometer. And it doesn't sound like much when I'm standing in front of you, but if you're sitting in the car, it actually provides kind of an immersive experience. It's pretty neat, so very excited for you guys to kind of experience that yourselves. The electric with the button type also has drive mode select. And a couple of neat features about the electric model, you can actually customize the default settings on these cars. So Brendan talked about the different levels of regenerative braking. You're able to customize when you're in normal, sport, or eco mode, how much regenerative braking is there, your climate control, and also even your max speed limit on the eco mode. And of course, you can still change on the fly with the paddle shifters or with the control paddles. And of course, we did partner up with Michelin. So these are specially designed to help maximize the IONIQ's performance and efficiency. It's a different compound, different body sculpting that we partnered up with Michelin to develop. So switching gears a little bit, of course, at Hyundai, we're very proud to offer our customers the best value for their money. And our philosophy behind that is we don't want to just offer features for feature's sake. We really want to offer technology that works and that's relevant. And a really great example of that is our automatic emergency braking system. So we use what's called sensor fusion. And what this does is it'll take two different readings. The first one is from the smart cruise control radar that's mounted on the grille. And the second one is going to be the lane departure warning camera that's mounted on the windshield. So by using both of those sensors, we're able to get a much better accurate reading, and that helps reduce false negatives, which a lot of times with consumers, it can be annoying if that's triggered. Other advanced safety features that's available include blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert, lane departure warning, as well as rear parking sensors. And of course, all IONIQs do come standard with a rear view camera. In terms of safety, passive safety, we talked about advanced high-strength steel and the body rigidity. We do expect to receive the highest possible score from both NHTSA and IIHS, just as we have in Europe with Euro NCAP. And in terms of multimedia features, as Brendan mentioned, all vehicles come standard with a 7-inch color touchscreen audio with an available 8-inch. But regardless of which which head unit you have, the cars come standard with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And for those of you who haven't had a chance to really experience the system yet, strongly encourage you to bring a USB cable with you and really enjoy that on your drive today. And what you'll see if you haven't experienced it yet is it's very intuitive, very simple to set up, and it's, most importantly, it's going to really help our drivers keep them safe by keeping their eyes off their phones on the road. One other feature I want to highlight here is a standard Blue Link for 3 years on vehicles equipped with our telematics system. And of course, that's especially relevant for plug-in hybrid and electric owners. They will be able to, for example, monitor the car's charge, start, stop, and schedule charging based on times of use. And all of this is available, through our app, through a smartwatch integration, and also through a home integration, so Amazon Alexa, as well as Google Home. Now, in terms of packaging, it's going to be pretty streamlined. The hybrid model comes in 3 different trims. The blue trim is what gets the 58 miles per gallon. And there's also a mid-tier SEL and a top-end limited. SEL comes with a tech package, which includes automatic emergency braking, smart cruise control, and lane departure warning. And then the limited has an available ultimate package that comes with a much more expanded list of technologies. And there's going to be a lot more information on the specific features available in your USB drive. As far as the plug-in hybrid and electric is concerned, just 2 trims, the standard trim, as well as the higher and limited trim, and again, an ultimate package available with the limited trims. The IONIQ will be available this year with 5 colors. The electric will be available in 4, and our drivers will have a choice between a dark and light color interior. So of course, many of you might have seen the pricing, which was released earlier this month. The IONIQ Blue starts at just $22,200, so it's priced significantly below the Prius. And the electric will start at $29,500. When we consider the federal incentives, that brings it down to just $22,000. And in California, where we're based out of, you can get into an IONIQ electric for under $20,000. When you compare that against the Leaf, you're getting a car that's cheaper, that offers a more powerful electric motor, better interior space, and even more range. And of course, when we talk about range, the topic that comes to mind is, well, what about the Bolt? What about the 238, right? It's a natural question to have. Well, it's easy to add range if you add a bigger battery pack, but of course that adds a couple of things. It adds weight, which reduces efficiency. It adds volume, which reduces cargo capacity, and of course it adds cost. So when we compare the starting MSRP for the IONIQ versus the Bolt, it's about a $7,000 difference. So when we think about it in terms of traditional vehicle segments, that's a 2-segment jump going from the Accent to the Elantra to the Sonata. And the way, from a product planning perspective, the way I really like to think about it is you can get a fully loaded IONIQ Electric Limited with the Ultimate package. And that comes with automatic emergency braking, smart cruise control, an 8-inch screen, navigation, power seats, a sunroof, all lower than what you can get starting with a Bolt. So it's important to consider how much that additional mileage is worth to consumers, and I think that's a conversation EV shoppers really need to consider today, is how much range is suitable for their needs, especially when we look at the data and we consider that 98% of drivers today don't anticipate driving more than 100 miles a day. And with AAA survey, it shows that the average American really just drives about 44 miles a day. So yes, range is important, and it's important to consider range anxiety, but I think the features that we offer, those are features that our drivers would use every day versus range that might be a once in a while thing. Just something to consider. And of course, when we talk about range, we do have standard DC fast charging. We've partnered up with ChargePoint, and you can see they've actually added about 100 stations up along the two different corridors, West Coast and East Coast. These are going to come a lot more in the future, and I think that's going to help with travel outside of your local areas. So in terms of availability, the IONIQ Hybrid is available now. The IONIQ Electric will be available next month, starting in California only. And the plug-in hybrid will come out much later this year. Of course, Brendan talked about that the lifetime hybrid electric battery warranty, which is available across all 3 models. And I want to quickly touch on the IONIQ Unlimited. It's another industry first that we're introducing, something we're very excited about. And the concept of this is, we looked at outside of the automotive industry and thought about, millennials. Millennials are going to make up an increasing amount of our shoppers. So what's something that that makes sense to them? And a big part of that is something like a smartphone, where it's easy to sign one contract, one signature, and now you have your phone, you have your contract, and you have your service. So in a very similar way, the IONIQ Unlimited will be a 36-month term. It will include title, license, and dealer fees. It's zero down after what's the $2,500 California rebate. So it offers unlimited mileage, so there's no lease restrictions, which is a big reason why a lot of people don't lease a car, because it doesn't make sense for them. And it will also offer charge reimbursement and free scheduled maintenance and wear and tear items for up to 50,000 miles. So this is something we're very excited to announce later on. This hasn't been finalized yet. We're still working through some of the details, but this is very, very close to launch. So with that, just quick summary, the IONIQ Hybrid has 58 combined miles per gallon in the blue trim. It's the most efficient for our vehicles. It has a 6-speed DCT, which really differentiates us from the CVT transmissions of other hybrids, and an independent multi-link rear suspension, which you'll kind of enjoy for yourself today. The IONIQ Electric has 136 mpge. It has 124 miles range, which we think is more than enough to meet the needs of a lot of American drivers today. And it has the industry's first unlimited mileage subscription lease, which we will introduce in the near future. And finally, in terms of the IONIQ plug-in hybrid, it will have about 27 miles of all-electric range while keeping all 5 passenger seats. And we really think this is technology that a lot of our drivers will gravitate towards too, because it is kind of the best of both worlds. So with that, I'd like to kind of thank everybody and invite Brendan and Miles back up for any Q&As. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I think we're just going to open it up to Q&A like we normally do. Probably do 15, 20 minutes of this, and then we're going to hit the road. The route and everything is pretty exciting today, and we have a nice barbecue lunch planned for everyone. So I don't know, are there any logistical things before we start the Q&A? Okay. So with that, we'll take the first question. We got one in the back there. Go ahead, speak up.
Will the electric be available outside of California?
Yeah, so we are going to first concentrate on California first, because as you know, there's a lot of misconceptions on electric vehicles, and what we want to do is target that market first, However, we're going to eventually apply to the the 10 ZEV mandate states. But the great thing about this is, similar to our Sonata plug-in hybrid, you can custom order an electric vehicle. So for example, in this market, all the dealership needs to do is work with the customer to pre-order that vehicle for it to be shipped here.
When would it be available?
On that one, so we're going to be launching in April, but the dealerships can do this in April. They could pre-order their vehicle if they choose to. So, one of the things, before I do that, another reason why California is also the focus, especially towards launch, is there's a $2,500 rebate. So as you saw from the price tag, you know, when you take the federal tax credit of $7,500, the $2,500 rebate, that comes up to $19,500 for an electric vehicle. So that's one of the reasons. And then other states don't have that generous of incentives from a state standpoint.
So, just to clarify on
Yes.
that, it's only available in California in April, but you can special order it outside of California?
Yes,
In April,
in April.
and get it delivered
Yes,
in
in maybe 6 to 7 weeks.
6 to 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
With all of the noise about the changes to cafe and other things that are being discussed by this administration, do you anticipate at all the need to tweak what you're doing with regard to that marketplace for alternate fuel vehicles?
No, there is still in the news, California is going to stay stuck.
Well,
They're going to be tough towards the regulation.
But their regulations go back before, so they're grandfathered.
Exactly. So those regulations will still be in place.
Right.
But we're not going to change our strategy. You know, we already announced to everybody that we're going to continue to bring even more electrification, and so we're not changing strategy.
Right.
In the back.
What's your target market with this car? Like, will it be like families? Will it be more like young?
Yeah. So we want to sell as many as possible. So any demographic is fine. But
Good answer.
but what we want to change the mindset is, hey, we're not just competing with Prius. We're competing with Cruise, Focus, and that large 2 million unit segment. Because what they'll find is, at a price at $22,200, you're in that compact car range now. And that's what our target was. It's not only to focus on fuel efficiency, but have a vehicle that drives like a Focus or drives like a Cruise.
Yes.
Do you anticipate that this car could actually cannibalize sales from the Elantra?
There is going to be some cross-up. There's cross-up.
But it would actually take away sales. Do you see that going to happen?
There will be some. There'll be some.
Yes, in the front.
Question comes to mind. What's the take rate, do you feel, hybrid versus plug-in versus pure electric?
So right now we have a limited supplies of electric. So let's wait. We're going to wait till it launches and see how that turns out. You know, because the plug-in hybrids is going to be in fourth quarter. So maybe 3 or 6 months down the road we can find out the true mix.
So you haven't done a projection yet?
The hybrid will probably be the
Yes, definitely.
volume player for sure, because of the other things we talked about earlier today. Yeah, go ahead.
Is the limited battery, or the limited electric, as you said, is that part of why the plug-in hybrid is delayed so far?
Do you want to take that? Or?
No, I think the development priority was always hybrid and electric first, and then kind of. Yeah.
Oh, so the reason why the plug-in hybrid is fourth quarter is because of engineering resources. You know, we're working on a lot of stuff. The engineers are working on a lot of stuff. On the unlimited plan, we're going to start off in California, see how that works. And one of the great things that you see is telephone companies, you know, not telephone companies, smartphones. You know, everybody's using smartphones, there's different subscriptions, everything's included, and that's the idea behind this, you know, to offer something that includes all the wear, for a low price,